Good morning around the indoor football world. We apologize for the late start. Our boy Sam is still sleeping, but we'll get it started anyway. Cody, what do you got going this morning? How are you?
We're doing all right. I just commented that we're all cooking big breakfasts, so maybe that's what Sam's doing. So, how are you doing, Krish?
I'm doing good. What about you, TJ?
Hey man, I'm here. I know that. No, but yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about stuff today, man. We got a lot of topics to go over, so it's gonna be a fun one.
Most definitely. So to kind of get started, we thought we would bring on someone who's an expert for the Louisiana pro indoor football scene. He's been around for over 20 plus years. Covering from all leagues, from the Rougarou to the Voodoo to everything in between. So I want to introduce Brian Methuen. What's good, Brian? Good morning.
How you doing, Krish? Morning. Thank you for having me.
I'm doing good. Yeah, thanks for coming. So, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts. We'll start with the first team, the Bayou Bucks, that was just announced a couple of days ago. Kind of tell me about your thoughts about them and how you think it'll kind of affect the indoor football community.
Okay, so since that was just announced, the owner, Jacob Hector, actually lives nearby me. I mean, within like 5 miles from me. They have financial backing. They've been vetted by one league, and they're actually in the process of a second league. So I can't say any more than that. They are looking at 3 different cities in southern Louisiana. Those cities being Lafayette, Baton Rouge, and New Orleans. So that is promising as far as, for my travel to view games and actually participate with the team. The uniforms, the picture, if you pull up the other picture, it has full camouflage uniforms and orange helmets. That is pending league approval. That's what Jacob wants as far as our uniforms for the team. There has been a picture already posted of camouflage turf, which personally I've never seen done before, but league permitting. Jacob said that that's the way he wants to go with the turf. Tremendous interest into the team already. The emails went up 24 hours ago as far as them posting who to contact and where to email, and not counting direct messages. They've already gotten over 50 emails in less than 24 hours. So there is high interest down here in southern Louisiana. The other 2 teams, the Rougarou and the Greenheads, or northern Louisiana, for those who don't know, Monroe and Shreveport are 4.5 hours from me, and I live in Baton Rouge. So that's not ideal for those 2 games for me to actually attend every single game. It is somewhat of a drive.
I don't want to make comparisons per se, but just put this in perspective. How would you say the initial interest for this team is, like compared to the Voodoo or the Rougarou or the other teams so far?
I would say even more interest than those because of the lack of having arena indoor football teams down here. I mean, we haven't had anything in the state since 2015 when the New Orleans Voodoo folded, the original club, and then the Louisiana Voodoo in 2024. So there was a big old gap and a lack of indoor football. So there is interest. I mean, we're fully stocked down here as far as talent. I mean, LSU, Southern, ULL, Tulane. We got McNeese. We got universities up and down the I-10 corridor that we can pull talent from. So I mean, the fan interest I think is there, and also the level of talent will be there also.
For sure. And another team that was announced, they're playing a really, I would say, established league at this point in the Arena League in the Monroe Greenheads. I'm going to pull this up right here. Kind of give me your thoughts on them and how excited are you for the new franchise?
Okay, so Thursday, I drove up there to Monroe and actually attended the press conference. It was held by Tommy Benzio, Jeff Holmes, which is the owner of the TAL, Doug Parrish, which is the GM that's been announced for the team. They had a press conference at Duck Commander. If everybody recognizes that name, Duck Commander is actually the duck call place that's featured in Duck Dynasty on A&E from years ago with Willie and Uncle Si. And it was held there. So there's a tie-in with the team and Duck Commander, obviously from what you see on the logo, because the bird, the duck is actually wearing the bandana that Willie's famous for wearing. So there's a tie-in between the city and Duck Commander. And so I've heard some fans say that they're behind the 8 ball already because they're so late, but you got to take in consideration their first game isn't until May 29th. So they start a lot later than AF1, NAL, IFL. So they have extra time to actually build up the team because there's no head coach announced. There's no players announced. Only the GM has been announced. Unfortunately, Willie and his wife couldn't attend the press conference because it had snowed from that snowstorm. Monroe and West Monroe, the two cities that are up there, both have power outages in parts of the cities. So the mayors could not attend the press conference themselves also. So the press conference was still held. And then they had a second press conference during the Monroe Moccasins hockey game last night during the first intermission. Tim Brown, the commissioner of the TAL, that was also at the press conference, he posted the announcement during the hockey game last night where Monroe took on our Baton Rouge Zydeco hockey team up there last night. So I think the interest is going to be there because it's tied in with the Robinsons. And yeah, the Quack Pack is a perfect name for the fan club. I just saw that from Brian.
Most definitely. And, you've kind of been around this landscape, Louisiana pro indoor football for over many decades now. So for you, who would you go after? Who are some names that kind of intrigue you for a possible head coach for the Monroe Greenheads?
Locally, of course, there's only one really with experience that comes off the top of my head, James Shiver. That's the obvious one. Him being in southern Louisiana, I don't see that as far as Monroe. I don't know who's left. I mean, honestly, who is available that Monroe could go after within the state? I have no idea. I mean, there's really, I mean, if Buford Jordan, maybe because he's coached in the past for the Bayou Beasts and for the Thunder and different teams in the state. But honestly, I mean, what would you think? Is there somebody that I'm missing?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's difficult because, you kind of need to look at the demographic of what candidate you're looking for. You're looking for someone with experience or someone with, local flavor and add. I mean, Cody, what are your insight on that? You think, who do you think would be a good fit?
I mean, I don't really have anyone. The first person that jumps off the page to me, which I don't know how much head coaching experience he had, but he played for the Bossier Battle Wings, was Raymond Filiaw. I know he was coaching at one point.
I can't hear Cody.
Can you hear me at all?
I can hear you fine.
Yeah, I can.
Say, Brian, if you can't hear me, you might need to back out and join back in. But, yeah, to keep this going, while he tries to join back in, like I said, the only person that kind of jumps off the page to me would be someone like Raymond Filial. I know he's coached at some levels, but at the same time, I can't remember if he's ever been a true head coach. So that could be something where you're kind of doing, hey, he knows the northern part of Louisiana, playing in Bossier, but at the same time, that's the only one that really jumps off the page to me. Otherwise, you're kind of going with someone with, I don't know, no experience to little experience, I guess, which I guess that's what Filial would be too.
I mean, I know this is kind of, and I'll flip it over to TJ, but I was thinking, Cody, for you, like, what demographic of candidate, if you know what I mean, like, you think the TAL kind of got a late start, kind of trying to find coaches at this point?
I mean, that's the issue for me, and if TJ was going to talk, I'm sorry for cutting you off, but when you think demographic, you're thinking you almost have to do someone locally. You almost have to do someone that can recruit, and you almost have to do someone that can get players in. If they're behind the 8 ball, Brian was saying they're not, but they obviously are. Their game starts in May. It is the final day in January. You've got a couple of months left to get players, train them. You need a coach, you need the rest of the staff, and you need all of that. So, I mean, players can play. They've got the experience, or you can recruit them, but yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah, I think they almost need like an older coach, someone with a lot of experience because of the shorter time frame that they have. They'd be able to probably manage the time and make it work out better since they are on kind of a tight leash time wise.
Brian, can you hear us at all? You're muted.
Yeah, you can hear us.
Yeah, I had to refresh. I couldn't see y'all or hear y'all, so sorry about that.
No, it's all good. Just wanted to make sure that all of this is going smoothly.
Yeah, you clear over on my end.
All right. When you backed out and came back in, I don't know if you're still listening while we were talking. The name that came off for me was Raymond Filial. So I know that he was the quarterback for the Bossier Battle Wings at one point. He's been a coach around different leagues and things like that. So seeing him get in would be kind of cool. But like TJ pointed out, at this point, you are still kind of behind the 8 ball for Monroe. But you're either gonna find someone with little to no experience, or you need to find a big home run hire who can recruit and get some names in quickly and coach them up quickly.
Yeah, don't be surprised if you see a popular retread name pop up for at least this season just because of the shorter time frame. That's probably what I would do if I was them.
Yeah, I think for me, the biggest thing is, like, I would love to see more assistant coaches in the IFL get opportunities, right? At this, like, a quarterback coach, like Mark Bly, he's a quarterback coach up in Vegas. He's been there for about 3 years. He would be a great fit, but the problem is he's local, right? So TAL teams don't really pay enough money to justify people moving across the country. So I think it's kind of a system thing. I will say the Memphis team is paying good money. I've heard from multiple people, so I wonder who Memphis will get. But I'm interested to see who Monroe should go after. Brian, I guess my last question for you is with the Bayou Bucks, right? The motto of sustainability. What do you think? What would your biggest piece of advice be for them kind of starting out as a new franchise in Louisiana?
Brian, you're muted again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first step is that they've gotten an early start. I'm very impressed with that. As far as if they build a staff that's actually experienced in indoor football and actually hire an experienced coach, like we were saying for the Greenheads, I think that will go. I mean, I wouldn't even recommend getting somebody local. Get somebody with experience. If you want to win right out the gate, you get somebody with experience, even if they're from the East Coast, West Coast. It doesn't have to be local. I mean, yeah, the Greenheads are behind the 8 ball, so get a local person because it is only 4 home games. there and then build on that next year. Because that was one of my questions to Jeff Holmes was, are we going to have more than 4 home games in the future? Since they're adding all these teams, there's only 8 games for a season. 4 home games really isn't a lot. I mean, once you think about it. So even like the Rougarou have 5 home games, but then they added 2 more. They added a preseason and a non-league game to have more games, to have more fan experience. So, I mean, it's little things like that that I would recommend to for the Bayou Bucks as far as, experience on the staff, experienced GM. But they have already started the ball rolling, which is actually a positive note in my eyes.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry I'm late. Obviously, I did not wake up on time for the show eventually I have to show up late, apparently. So,
It's all right, man. When you're dressed that nice, you don't have to wake
the
up.
standard is the standard, which is apparently waking up half an hour late for me. But anyway,
I don't think Ricky would agree to that, but
I love that shirt, Brian, and thank you for joining us to talk about Louisiana football this morning. We couldn't have done it without you. It just felt like a natural fit for you to come on and kind of be a part of this discussion today. So I appreciate you showing up, even though I didn't. So I really appreciate that.
It's all good. It's all
How's
good.
your morning going so far?
All right. I woke up early on my last day of my vacation, so just for you. So
there you go. It's so nice of me not to show up. So anyway, did you guys already talk about the Greenheads? Perfect. So we're already done with all the Louisiana talk then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, watch the show, Sam. Jeez.
Sorry, fellas. I apologize.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
They had flyers with all this is what's also been posted on the website, advertising the sponsors already that they've had. The hockey team sponsors the team. They gave out shirts. They gave out, of course, this is going to be one of the popular sell items because Willie is involved with the team. Is going to be a duck call. So
that's awesome.
They gave everybody in attendance a duck call. So can you imagine thousands of people with duck calls after every touchdown scored, all blowing them at one time?
Oh yeah, it's going to be loud. It's going to be loud, especially when the opposing teams on offense. Should be a lot of fun. Did we already go around the horn and talk about the logo? Did everybody give their opinion on the logo and the branding?
Brian talked about it a little bit when it came to Duck Commander and their affiliation with it, with the bandana and things like that.
Gotcha. Well,
bandana.
Yeah. In that case, let's go around real quick and everybody just kind of give their opinion on the logos and the branding. Let's go to TJ first.
Well, I was a Duck Dynasty fan back in the day, so I love the logo. I love the affiliation. I think the bandana is cool. It's really, for the most part, man, I think the logo specifically, man, it's a home run hit, in my opinion.
That's fair. I really like it as well. Cody, what do you think, man?
It's gorgeous. I mean, it's not necessarily an issue, but it's just kind of crazy how we're talking about 2 teams in Louisiana who developed the same color schemes. So I do like what Monroe has done with the green and the orange, and obviously the second shade of green there. But excuse me, it's curious to me with all of the logos of how they're going to incorporate all of them, or if they're going to pick a couple of them to be mainly their, primary, secondary, and possibly tertiary logos. Because you've got some of these might get lost in the sauce. So.
Yeah, when I was kind of looking at this, it definitely struck me as more of a merchandise thing. Like obviously now you can have 6 different versions of every piece of merchandise you have, because of all the different logos. So it should be interesting to see how they use the logos for sure. But Krish, what are your thoughts on the logo?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the TAL, Jeff Holmes, Tommy Benizio, Tim Brown, they can they continue to kind of nail the PR and branding aspect time and time again. And I think this is another example connecting with the local community. And you see how much this means. And I really enjoy the logo. I think it's going to be great, honestly. So
Awesome. All right. Well, Brian, you're more than welcome to stick around for the whole show if you want. You don't have to just be here to talk Louisiana. Obviously, I know you kind of keep track of everything else that's going on as well. So,
of course. Yeah.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to stick
Yeah,
around.
if you're willing to. Yeah, if you're willing to have me, I'll stick around.
Of course we are. Of course we are. So let's get to a couple comments real quick. I do like the greenhead logos. Move over cowbells, duck calls are so 2026. Cowbells. What cowbells?
What?
Fooster Sports Design knocking out of the park. I agree. They definitely have a recognizable style that they've developed for the TAL lately, and I think it's awesome. But let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We'll transition over to a couple different other topics. I think we'll go ahead and get into the NAL and their big news, and then we'll kind of work that up to the 9 o'clock hour when we welcome on Nyqwan Murray, hometown hero for the Orlando Pirates. Really excited to talk to him about his opportunity to play right there in his hometown. I'm sure he's very excited about that. But without further ado, we'll hit that commercial break and we'll be right back.
Omaha Beef football, prime dancers, rump roasters, slaughterhouse. Are you ready? DJ Nyqwan. You ready? 3, 2, 1, go! Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the slaughterhouse where we run it. Yeah, we really want it. Beef Nation, got 'em shaking. Got a ring and we flown it. Prime dancers be on it. I bet the competition's no opposition. We come to take and we done it. Ricky is the G saying, let's go beef. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the slaughterhouse. Orange and black. About to win this. Defense stays on attack. You on our hit list. Blocking, blocking, and dumping, jumping out the gymnasium. You want to see the best? Meet us at the Beef Stadium. Yeah. Orange Kingdom. Welcome to the Orange Kingdom. Let's go, Beef. Orange Kingdom. Slaughterhouse. Orange Kingdom. Prime dancers.
How many times a week?
Like three, four times maybe.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
Speaking of pumping those numbers up, we only have one like according to my screen. So if you guys could hit that like button no matter where you're watching, we'd really appreciate it. Kind of helps push this out to other viewers that are not currently watching. So we're going to go ahead and jump over to the NAL topics for today, which of course starts and ends primarily with this announcement that we wanted to discuss. And that is, of course, the NAL network. So yesterday, as we all know, the NAL announced they are launching their own network where their games will be broadcast for the 2026 season. And we have this beautiful logo that has come out of this. I actually think this is really well done. But there's also a couple caveats. Obviously, the big thing, the big question that everybody's asking, is there a paywall? How much do I have to pay to watch NAL games now? What do I get in return for this pay or this payment, this cost? And, you know, how's the broadcast quality going to be? So we're going to kind of like go over a little bit of these, multiple of these subjects. And I know, correct me if I'm wrong, Krish, did you already sign up as well?
I have not signed up yet. No.
Okay, so you guys were just looking at the cost and everything yesterday then? Gotcha. Okay, so has anybody other than me signed up yet? Okay, fair enough. So I'm gonna kind of take the reins on this
No.
one first off. Sorry, what was that? Okay. So yeah, anyway, I signed up last night. I figured no reason to wait. I knew I was going to sign up one way or another, so I might as well go ahead and get it out of the way now. So yeah, of course, it's like a $30 cost for the entire season. I did ask because I wasn't sure if it included the playoffs, so I went to the commissioner and actually asked him myself if it was going to cover the playoffs, and he did inform me that it will. It also gives you access to clip highlights and stuff like IFL Network did last year. But the big thing that I thought was awesome, and honestly, I didn't even know it was a side effect or something that came with the sign up, was the 20% discount that comes in your email after you sign up. So to me, that's kind of a big deal because, me and Cody were talking about it yesterday, or actually me and the group were talking about it yesterday, but Cody pointed this out. You take that 20% coupon and you apply it to a $100 jersey, all of a sudden you just got $20 back. So it's like you paid $10 for the year for the NAL network. Now, obviously, we get the logic behind this, right? They're trying to get more people to buy NAL merchandise. But at the same time, that's a pretty good incentive to go ahead and purchase the NAL network. And we kind of discussed it as well. And we don't believe that the IFL offered anything like that with their sign up. So, a lot of people have been talking about the paywall and obviously the negative aspects of it, but I feel there are some things that are getting glossed over and kind of ignored in that process. So I just wanted to kind of go around the horn here and ask everybody how they feel about the paywall, the new app, what you guys have seen from it so far, what you haven't seen, and where you think this is all headed. So let's go to TJ first on this one.
I'm not the biggest fan of paywalls, but I mean, I understand it. It's basically where all sports are at this point in time. One thing that I did notice about it was in the announcement, it mentioned, like how you can make your own highlights, and it's going to be more than just click on, watch the game, click off kind of network. So it's going to be a little bit more fan interactive per se than the IFL network was. So I mean that's a cool feature, but I still want to wait to see maybe more of the specifics or more maybe announcements about the network. Once people start using it and everything, to see if I'm going to pay for it. I mean, I'm just going to be honest with you, but I mean, odds are I'm probably going to pay for it because I'm an arena and indoor junkie. So, but yeah, I do like the fact that it's more interactive. It seems like a big fan hub, pretty much. So, I mean that's a cool feature that I didn't think about initially when I heard about the network. That kind of made me not be so against it because again, it is more fan based than just click on, watch a game, and click off. So.
Absolutely, and that's the aspect of it that I kind of like. It's almost like the NAL is developing their own little community, so to speak. But I think there's a couple other things that are going to come, with the development of this platform long term. And this is just more or less my assumption, but I would imagine, this is not a question I even asked because I figured this is the way it's going to go. But I mean, all these team shows we all watch, the Beef Show, the Rude Time Show, a couple other shows that the leagues throughout the team have. The teams throughout the league have. I would imagine that they're going to be provided as well on the NAL network platform too. So I mean, all the inside the walls stuff, I would imagine would be on this platform as well. So that's a good thing as well. You're not only getting the games, you're getting some exterior content with that as well. That's directly about each team. Let's go to
And with
Cody next.
between
Sorry, go ahead, TJ.
sorry, between the IFL network last year with the AF1 doing the Evergreen. Now we know now they're not around anymore, but they basically have their whole hub. So it kind of seems like this is where the leagues are kind of trending towards having their own kind of network or hub space for fans to come to.
Absolutely. Okay, so we've already gotten 2 of these questions, so I'm going to go ahead and just to address this real quick. But signed up, haven't paid yet. Will broadcast quality be better than the YouTube streams? Stream quality was all over the place last year. Would like to know how the standard is being raised league-wide with the pay. Well, the standard is the standard, right, guys? So with that being said, discussing this situation with the commissioner yesterday, he assured me that there will be a rise in the standard of broadcast quality throughout the league. And they hopefully will not be upset with me for saying this, but they are going to be basically instituting a rule that if a team cannot provide the quality of broadcast level that they expect with this new move, that the league is going to step in and basically, essentially, I don't want to say force because that sounds bad, but they're going to step in and be the broadcast team for that team. And then essentially that team will just probably get charged for the cost for that production quality rather than them going their own route and not being able to provide the same quality that the rest of the teams are providing. So we'll see how it works. Obviously that's kind of a new approach for the NAL, but it was something that I felt was important to get out there. But moving on to Cody. Cody, what do you think about the NAL network?
I ain't paying $30 when I can watch my games on YouTube for free. So I'm going to keep up that same energy because that's exactly what happened last year and I was one of those people too that, pissed and moaned about, hey, I'm behind a paywall for the Indoor Football League network and things along those lines. The difference is the Indoor Football League was giving away, 30 days free and then eventually a week for free and then eventually you had to pay for it. I like what the NAL is doing with this when it comes to the 20% off because, and it's one of the questions that Brian asked too, is that, is that money going to go to the teams? Is it going to go to the league, the discounts and the stuff? Because as you pointed out, if you're going to get a coupon for merch, that's going to help out the teams specifically. That's going to help out each of those teams. That's how they make money. I mean, they make money by attendance, and yes, they make money by concessions, depending on, the arena and the agreements that they've made. But if you're buying directly from them or directly from the league, then that should be money going to those teams, which helps them out. So $30, we've seen that people are willing to pay for it when it comes to the Indoor Football League network. So I think that's a very nice price point. And hey, as long as they have a live chat like the Indoor Football League was pushing, then that's hunky-dory for everyone else, man. But no, it's par for the course, as TJ pointed out. That's what everyone's doing. They're getting your own little hub. You're going to go pay for NFL Plus or NBA League Pass or whatever the case, and you'll be none the wiser. You get to pick and choose between your apps, and if you want to do this one and still watch the IFL on Yahoo Sports and FanDuel and then whatever AF1 does, or if you just want to watch Albany with all their stuff, foreshadowing, then that's fine. But I don't mind it. I mean, we've seen that it can work, and you get all the games archived like the Indoor Football League network does. That's game film that players can put out, and we go from there.
Agreed. Krish, let's go to Brian next. Brian, what are your thoughts on the NAL network? I know we also had a conversation yesterday about this.
Well, I haven't dived into it too much as far as when it was announced yesterday. I'd have to second TJ's opinion as far as not a fan of it, but I understand it. And of course, I'll pay the $30 and watch all the games. I did see the 20% off in the store. My worry is the quality, as far as what we've already mentioned. Every team is responsible for their broadcasts, and then what happens if it's under the standard, and what do we see next year? Do we see a NAL network where it's a national broadcast company doing all the games? Is it going to morph into that in the future, where it'll be a Vice TV type of production? Will the rates go up and so on? I mean, we're still talking about a niche, sport, and asking people to pay $30, in my opinion, is not bad at all. But I mean, that's the wave of the future, I guess, is everything's going to be pay-per-view now.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that's the most direct route to monetizing your content, unfortunately. So whether good or bad, no matter how you look at it, I think this is something that we're going through on a wide scale, not just with sports. We're seeing this with individual broadcast companies, that each have their own streaming platform. So I think this is just the future, really. So where you can pick and choose what content you want rather than buying a cable package and having to get everything and just sorting it out or, adding on for specific channels. But Krish, what are your thoughts on NIL Network?
Honestly, I'm going to be really honest. I was a little disappointed when I first heard the news, right? I really enjoy NIL football. I mean, there were times last year, I'll be honest, I watched every IFL game, but there was times where, because the IFL didn't have a TV app, the NIL was on the TV, right? And so the biggest thing is they need to have a TV app ready to go for week 1. Like, that's my biggest thing, right? If they do that, then okay, it's worth the cost to me. Because, watching a game on your phone or computer or iPad is uncomfortable, right? You want the full experience and the viewing experience. I think the biggest thing is every team should be required to post content, right? I don't want to see, like Southwest Kansas, they can't really update their Facebook page on time. Or, you look at other teams, right? They don't post any video content, any interviews, anything, right? Omaha does a consistent coach show every week. Louisiana does it, or Louisiana, taking a break, but they still do it, right? I need to see consistent content across the board from every team, and that should be a requirement, in my opinion. And if they can do that, then 100%, it's worth it, 100%.
That's a fair point as well. That's a fair point. I mean, if we're going to do this, let's have some sort of consistency throughout the league, and then provide a situation where you can get all the league content on one platform. But I'd be curious to see what the long game is with this. Is this a similar situation to the IFL Network where, it came out? And I think to me, that was kind of like a proof of concept thing for the IFL. And then eventually the next year, they got the broadcast deals with Yahoo and FanDuel. Is that something that we see with the NIL? Is this just the first step in mini to getting back onto, or getting arena football back onto national broadcasts at a very wide level? So, it's going to be interesting to watch indoor and arena football over the next 5-10 years, because I think we're really, really in the middle of a boom. Just based on what I know behind the scenes, we can all look across the country right now in all these different leagues and look at all the different expansion. And we're only kind of scratching the surface. Over the next couple of years, there's going to be many more teams coming out of the woodwork. And, I'm very excited about it. So I think this is the time to be making these moves for every league, even if I'm a little annoyed that now I have to pay to watch NAL. I have to pay to watch UFL. I have to pay to watch NFL. I have to pay to watch some CFL. It gets a little old, but at the same time, I love football. If I'm going to be, I'm going to be watching the games, whatever. To me, it's not a big deal to support the leagues and to support the teams and stuff. Yes, I was upset about it last year. I've come to realize that it's a necessary evil. So I have changed my energy on the situation a little. I'm not going to lie, but it's just the direction we're headed in life in general right now. So kind of just accepted it at this point. But we're going to hit a quick commercial break. Sorry, what was that?
That was one of the things I had touched on earlier before you joined us, was from 2015 to 2023, the state of Louisiana, we didn't have any indoor football, any arena football at all in the state. Now, look, next year, we're going to have 3 teams that we know of in the state,
Sorry about that. Exactly. And I was in the same exact boat in Colorado, from 2017 all the way up till current day. When the Spartans launched in 2024, we didn't have a team. So for 7 years, there was no indoor football. Now going into 2026, we have 2 teams. So it's crazy to see, and it's awesome to see. So we will definitely excited to see the future of
and I do have my Rougarou shirt, so wardrobe change.
Did you already show off the Rougarou media guide?
No, we didn't cover that.
Hold on.
This one? Yeah, that's
one.
that's my preseason media guide available on Amazon and through the team also. Covers the preseason for this year. I did write last year's, and I did write the obviously the Louisiana Voodoo 2 years ago media guide.
So anybody who didn't catch that, as he glossed over it very quickly, Brian produces the media guide for the Rougarou. And if you look at it, it's very well done. It's very awesome, piece of information. It's got stuff throughout it that, I mean, if you're a fan of the team, it's going to give you everything you want to know about the team. So I highly recommend you go check that out.
Full color.
Yeah, full color as well. So I don't have mine available right at the second, but I will definitely bring it back up throughout the show. But definitely appreciate you joining us again, Brian. But we're going to transition over to the IFL in just a second here. It looks like our guest is having a little bit of issue behind the scene. So let's discuss a couple other moves in the NAL while we get him on. The first big thing coming out of the NAL, or really the AF1, but the team's in the NAL now. Michael Lawson, 2025 AF1 Defensive Player of the Year, has signed a contract with the Columbus Aviators for the 2026 season. Michael Lawson played the last 2 seasons with Southwest Kansas Storm, and had previously been drafted signed a letter of intent with the UFL, with the XFL before the merger, was left out of that draft, but then gets picked up in the new merger draft. So it's kind of cool to see how everything's worked out for him there. The Pirates also have sent a couple players up. Smoke Monday has also signed with the Columbus Aviators. So a couple really high-level indoor defensive backs going there. And then also Michael Ayers has signed with the Birmingham Stallions. And he played in Sanford, which I believe he's located right there in Birmingham.
And considered a local legend as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So very excited for him. I've actually had a couple conversations with Michael. He's a great guy. We were probably going to have him on the show at some point, but now we no longer will. So excited for him. Hope he sticks around with the Stallions. It's kind of cool to see him get to, tap that hometown market where he's from. So we're going to hit a quick commercial break. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just say, oh no, Arizona Rattlers lose a quarterback. Who are they going to buy next?
Exactly.
No, I think it's awesome. We had Smith on like 3 weeks ago, and he called the shot. He said, "I'm 25. I need to make a move now." So I think for him, he had came back from a torn ACL this past year. It was his first time playing ball in over a year and a half, and he's already going up to the UFL. So I really hope he makes the team. He's a great player, great leader. So I love Smoke, and I'm really happy for him to make this move. And that's another guy that Nyqwan moved up too. So just let's give credit where credit is due, right?
That 100% counts as a move up for sure. And we'll get some more opinions out of our guest here in a second. We do need to get him to turn on his camera before we have him come on. So give us just a moment there. The other topic out of the NAL this week was J.A. Anderson has been hired as the assistant head coach and offensive coordinator for the Amarillo Warbirds. This is a significant move. Krish, tell us why it's a significant move.
Yeah, just, I say things, and, I'm, like I said, I'm one of the most knowledgeable people in the country when it comes to this sport, and I called it again. What did I say 4 weeks ago? Right, they should go out and hire him. And I know at that time, it looked like a backdoor move, right? Why would you bring someone in? Blakely previously worked for him. You're bringing him in to be the head coach. Why would you do it? Well, Jermaine Blakely's suspended, right? So he cannot contribute to the team for at least half the season. So you want to bring in someone who's a veteran, who's a leader, right? For me, and this is no disrespect to Jermaine Blakely, this is a huge upgrade. Huge upgrade. I think J.A. Anderson is a really good ball coach. He's a really, really good ball coach. He last year in Corpus with all the shit going on with them. But one of the biggest things for me, I would say, honestly, is the fact that he called offense and defense last year, both. So he has experience calling both sides of the football. So he necessarily doesn't need to go out and get a defense coordinator because he has experience. He did great in the NAL. He's coached in the NAL before, back with the Monterey Steel. They went 6-4, made the playoffs. They were a really highly competitive team. They were spending a lot of money. So now he had they're not paying anyone in Amarillo. So it's a lower payroll, right? And a lot of his guys who you want to bring in are higher payroll guys. But if I'm him, what I'm doing, the first phone call I'm making is to Fred Payton in Albany. Fred Payton's from Texas. I would call Fred Payton and say, do you want to come to Amarillo? And I think that would be a splash. He could make a huge splash. So there's so much opportunity there for Amarillo now. And I think this gives them a chance to make the playoffs. And it puts them over Louisiana, for sure. For sure.
Interesting. Yeah, I think it's an asset. We've talked before about the potential of the head coach being suspended. So now you have somebody who can step in and has been a head coach before and all that. So, I think it's a huge hire for them. And Krish had mentioned that they should look into that multiple times here on the show before it finally happened. So I thought it was very interesting. Nyqwan says, I will be Arizona's next quarterback, thereby leveling the playing field. All right. That's awesome. Nyqwan, we got to get you back on one of these shows, man. It's been a long time, but would love to have you back on. What if Shady Sports Network did a live pick'em broadcast on the NAL network? Insight analysis. I don't know that we'll ever be on the NAL network, but it's definitely a thought. We can definitely have that conversation for sure. Roger Beck checking in. We talked a couple weeks ago about them being at the National Scouting Combine. They have signed 2 players, I think defensive backs, if I remember correctly, from the NSC, and they will likely be putting the finishing touches on their roster over the next couple weeks as they get prepared for the draft. So let's go ahead and hit a quick commercial break. We'll come right back with our guest, Nyqwan Murray of the Orlando Pirates.
Russell into the end zone, touchdown! Russell has to step up in the pocket, has some room in front of him, gets that 3-step drop, here comes the pressure, passes complete to Flowers, back to pass, pressure coming, has somebody in the end zone, touchdown! Russell, pressure's coming, Russell able to escape, still on his feet, and will be brought down at the looking, has plenty of time, has Flores at the 15, he's at the 10, and Russell has it on the outside. Like I said, he ain't taking a slide. Russell steps up, lets one go. Robinson makes the circus catch. Going to a low snap. Here comes the pressure, and the pass is going to be complete. And making the catch of Grant Russell. Russell back to pass, looking. He has Robinson makes the catch, and will be brought down on the play by Isaiah Hall. Coleman and Robinson.
How many times a week? Like three or four times, maybe. I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
All right. We are joined by Nyqwan Murray, hometown hero of the Orlando Pirates. Super excited to see him join his hometown team for 2026. Let me get these cameras rearranged so he's the focus here. How are you doing this morning, Nyqwan?
Okay, yeah, no better.
Oh, it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Give me just a sec. Let me see if we can get him back on. And we will see what we can do there. Nyqwan, if you can hear me, go ahead and pop back out and then pop back in and see if that helps. But while we try to get him on, I will go ahead and play this short little video that's going to be very, very relevant here in a second when we bring Nyqwan back on. Oh, sorry. All right, let's see if we can't get Nyqwan back in here in a second. No, looks like he's frozen. Hold on just a sec. There's Brian. Brian, can you still hear us okay?
Yes, again.
Okay, perfect. So let's start by talking about the IFL Cup. We'll see if we can't get Nyqwan back on here in just a sec. Seem to be having some issues there. So there's a couple different things here, obviously. First of all, Cody's been talking about this for a while on the show, that we knew some neutral site games were coming, and that it seemed like it was gearing up toward this sort of in-season cup. So, Cody, I'm going to let you kind of take the reins here in just a second. Nyqwan, can you hear us okay now?
Yeah, I can hear you guys.
Okay, perfect. Glad that worked out. All right. So we're going to go ahead and focus on the interview, but let's start off. I mean, obviously we just played the IFL Cup highlight, or the kind of the hype up video. So what are your thoughts on the IFL Cup in 2026, given that you guys will be playing in it?
First off, I would like to thank y'all for having me on you guys' show and giving me an opportunity to speak my word. But can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, bet. But I think it's a good addition to the league. Just bring some more eyes to the league, make it more interesting, and being able to play in the mall in front of everybody. I think that'll be cool. It's 4 teams, right? Las Vegas, New Mexico, and Arizona. I think those are good, solid 4 teams. The new team in the league, 3 other teams that stamped in the league and have a name going for themselves. And I think it'll be very interesting. Pirates on top, though.
Of course. So I got to step away in just a sec. Krish, I'm going to need you to take the reins. But I wanted to ask you this question, Nyqwan. Obviously, you're originally from Orlando. You played your football at Florida State. So what's it like for you to return? Uh-oh. I think we may have lost him again. Let me see if we can't get him back. That's unfortunate. So let's go ahead and talk about this IFL Cup a little bit. What are your thoughts on the IFL Cup, Cody?
We're going to waste the entire show if you do that. I like the idea, the theory behind it. I do not think it's good. I don't. The reason why is you're taking home dates away from teams. I've asked this on Arena Fan. I've asked this in the group chat. I've asked this in multiple places. Who does this benefit? You have the exposure. Do not get me wrong, but the games will be broadcast on FanDuel, so which means Yahoo's not getting any of this. So you can watch these for free on FanDuel, and that's perfectly fine. But my issue with this is it's just fans at the mall. Anyone kind of like, you're not going to have 3 teams from the West Coast or Western area and then a team from Orlando traveling north. You're only going to get maybe one weekend to go watch your team. You're not going from New Mexico or Phoenix or something, unless you have deep pockets, to fly out to New Jersey 2 games in a row. I'm sorry, but those could be home games that you could benefit having your local community like rally around your team. But that only benefits certain teams. Arizona still has 8 home games. They didn't give up any home games. Orlando only has 6 home games. I mean, and I'm not trying to sit there and pick favorites or do anything like that. But the fact of the matter is, like, this benefits no one. I asked this question too. The NBA Cup people watch. I don't know if anyone even knows what the U.S. Open Cup is in soccer. I mean, I watch soccer, so I know what it is. Do people know what the League's Cup is in soccer between Liga MX and MLS? Like, no one knows what that is unless you're a diehard soccer fan. No one's going to know what this is. I don't understand why they're doing it. I mean, I understand why they're doing it, but it does not make sense to me why.
That's fair. That's fair. There is a lot of cost associated with this that I don't think a lot of people are really thinking about overall. Not only do you essentially take away some of the home games that you just mentioned, some of the revenue makers, but you also in turn have the cost of staying in another state, for a week plus, to accomplish all these games. Now, I think it's awesome that the IFL is trying to do new things that other leagues have not done. I think it's awesome that they're trying to develop some more interest in indoor football on the East Coast. Will it work? Nobody really knows yet. So, it's going to be very interesting to see for 2026. But it looks like we got Nyqwan back on, so we'll go ahead and bring him back on and see if we can't get through some of these questions. Nyqwan, can you still hear us okay?
Yeah, it's working now.
Perfect. I apologize about all the issues. I'm not quite sure what's going on with StreamYard lately. But Krish, would you like to ask the question about being in Orlando now?
Well, first off, Nyqwan, it's good to see you. It's been many years. Good to finally connect with you. I guess my question for you, obviously you're from Orlando. You played all over the country, San Antonio, Jacksonville, right? What does it mean to come back home to Orlando for you?
Oh, man, it means a lot. I ain't played in front of my friends and family since high school, so coming back home, being able to play in front of everybody I grew up around. My neighborhood is like, where I grew up is like 12 minutes from the Kia Center. So it's really right around the corner. It's in my backyard. And I think it's going to be fun and really exciting for me and my family.
So, kind of walk me through your recruitment process to the Pirates. I know you and Jawad probably talked a lot during the process. How is your relationship with him and how excited are you for the team that he's putting together for 2026?
Man, Jawad cool as hell, bro. That's like my big brother. And I just met the dude a couple months ago. But Jawad was recruiting me back in 2020 when I first started playing arena. He hit me up, asked me a few questions. Do I want to play? But I was already signed with the Sharks, I think. And I told him that I'd get back with him. And it's crazy how life works for a certain moment. Now he's in Orlando, in my home city. And I was the first person he hit up. And I was like, bro, why not? Why wouldn't I want to play?
For sure. And obviously every offense you've been a part of, you played with many quarterbacks last year. I mean, I can't even name all of them, but you see that. Too many. But, this year I feel like we finally have a quarterback in Talia Tagovailoa coming in. What's the dynamic and chemistry been between you two so far in the offseason?
It's been cool. Talia's a good dude. He played at a high level, so I'm pretty sure he'll be ready, focused, and just ready to attack the task ahead. And I think we're going to do real good, man. People sleep on Talia. Got great coaches around him, Coach Les, Coach Keith, dudes that won plenty championships and know what they're doing. So I think the coaches will have him good. Everything's going to be all right, man. We're going to be good. Trust me, we're going to have a great team this year.
No, I definitely agree. I think a lot of people don't realize, the level of talent in Florida and everything. But, another guy, from Orlando that joined the team recently was Calvin Ashley, lineman from Orlando. Have you two had a relationship about it? And, how have you connected in the past?
Oh, yeah, Big Calvin. I grew up with Big Calvin, so it's like my childhood friend. I told him I was playing with Orlando, and he immediately was like, yeah, I'll sign. And a couple of days later, he was signed.
Calvin Ashley, all USFL guy in 2023, so comes with a ton of experience to that offensive line. I guess one question is I wanted to ask you, the identity of the offense, right? Last year the Pirates kind of struggled. I think we ranked 9th in total offense. What do you think is going to be different this year in the offense compared to in years past?
I mean, we got a lot of playmakers. We got T.O., Puka, me, T.O. Redden. It's just a lot you can work with. And it's going to be mismatches all across the field. It's going to be hard to play as a man. Well, I know we're gonna have a good running game. The Pirates always have a good running game. So being a part of that last couple of years, I would say San Antonio, we had the most dominant passing attack, but like running game wise, it was kind of iffy. So adding that running game dimension in the IFL is just like you can go to the championship easy.
You know, what a lot of people don't realize about you is stat wise, you know, you're the best receiver in the IFL these past 2 seasons, 57 touchdowns, you know, I can't believe that 57 touchdowns in just that short amount of time is crazy. But for you played in the Western Conference, and there's a narrative out there. The West is harder than the East. Where you're coming over to the East, how excited are you? And what do you expect from that transition going from the West to the East?
I mean, what I expect is to go to the playoffs. That's my first expectation. I ain't been to the playoffs in the last 2 years with San Antonio. I had a lot of great stats, like you said, personally, but individually, that don't win the game. You know what I mean? It's a team game, so I'm excited to be with the Pirates, contribute and do what I can do, and I know everybody else gonna do their job on this team, and we're gonna get some wins. But the West is pretty competitive. You know, Coach Guy got those officials over there on the West on the payroll, but hey, we ain't gonna talk about that. I'm glad I ain't got to face Arizona no more too much, or I ain't on their side no more. But I would rather meet them dudes in the championship and show Coach Godin what's really going on. But it's gonna be exciting moving from that side to the East, man. It's gonna be different competition, new people, so it's gonna be fun.
And you know, one more question I have for you is obviously, you know, you played in the NAL in 2023 peak season. What do you think about the state of the IFL? You know, kind of going into year 3 with the league. What do you expect for the league coming up this year?
IFL coming from the NAL, it's 2 totally different ball games. Way more competition. I would say the NAL is pretty too easy, just because it's basically like man to man every play. And the jack can't really move past 5 yards, but the IFL is more like traditional football, more real coverages. You can get double teamed. The D line could do stunts. It's just different. It's way more competitive, and there's more eyes on the IFL. And I think it's the biggest indoor league we have.
Agreed. Anybody else have any questions for Nyqwan? Let's go to Cody.
What's up, Nyqwan? How you doing?
What's going on, Cody?
So Chris talked about moving over to the east side, but my biggest question to you is, and I don't mean this in any ill will towards, you know, former coaches, but how do you think it is linking up with Rob Keefe with that offense compared to what you had in San Antonio? And again, that's not a dig at San Antonio or the coaches or anything like that, but what do you think is going to separate you away this season with Rob Keefe, everything that he's done, all of his experience that he has, compared to what you had going kind of last year with multiple head coaches?
Yeah, I would say Rob Keefe is the GOAT for sure. But I had a great head coach in San Antonio too, James Fuller. He's a good dude right there. That dude taught me a lot about playing indoor football and running routes and just different stuff, different schemes and reading the defense. But I think Coach Keefe would be great. That dude called me the other day and he was reciting. He was like, he had me ready to get on the field right then. That dude just knows so much about ball, and he's gonna have everybody in the right position. So really don't have to stress and worry about that. He's gonna get us the ball when it's time needed to be. But then we're gonna do big things with Coach Keefe, man. That dude, he's like one of the guys. He got so much energy and enthusiasm. You would like, why wouldn't you want to play for this dude? You know.
Fair point. Brian, do you have any questions?
Oh shit, they're doing it again.
All right, we'll see if we can't get Nyqwan back on. I'm not quite sure what's going on with StreamYard lately. We consistently are having issues with our guests as of recently, so we'll definitely see if we can't get him back on to ask some more questions. But a couple of comments I wanted to get to in the chat real quick. Ben McToy checking in. Thanks, Ben. We appreciate you watching. CJ, former teammate of Nyqwan, say Nooney's the GOAT.
And see, that's why I'm so excited to have him. You know, all his teammates speak so highly of him, and he's a leader. And I feel like that's what we need in our receiving core, honestly.
Agreed. And this comment in particular I wanted to get to. Big picture for the league, small sacrifices for the betterment of the sport, discussing the IFL Cup. So I kind of wanted to ask you about this specific question, Cody. Do you think the big picture effect will have enough sway on the league for it to make sense in terms of the costs that they're putting out?
For me, the approach that the IFL has had has been expand slowly and then build your national footprint. If this is what their intention is to be, then I'm all for it. I want to push back on Trey when he said that this isn't about the fans. You can pull up that comment. Those words right there, and that might not be how you put it, Trey, and I'm not trying to put you on blast or anything, but it is about the fans. The fans are what makes you go. So to sit there and say this isn't about the fans, it is always about the fans. Every single sport is about the fans. The fans are the ones that show up and pay the bills. So yeah, it's not about the individual teams either, but the individual teams need those fans as well. There's a reason why teams come and go all the time is because of the lack of fan support. So yes, is there a big picture to all of this? Yes, you want the exposure. Everyone wants the exposure. Every league, every team, if you have national sponsors, whoever it may be, you need that. I'm not saying you can't have that. What I'm saying is that this is just kind of a slap in the face because you still want to grow your league. I'm not saying you can't, but at the same time, you have a brand new team who's now going to play 2 games away from where they're at. How do you get new fans? By increasing that, you do that, and you can also market locally. And I think that's something that needs to be done too. But with a brand new team in New Mexico, you've already taken away 2 of their games.
See, Trey, I think this comment would normally apply to most people. You're 100% right. But I think all of us on this panel right now definitely have a good grasp on how small the niche of arena football is.
Yes. How small of a bubble this is, and I'm not to cut you off, Sam, but how small of a bubble this is, you really need to market FanDuel. You need to market Yahoo. How many tweets has Yahoo Sports had about the Indoor Football League since the announcement? Probably 0. Probably little. What about FanDuel? Cool, you've made the announcements, but I mean, how many times are you tweeting about single game tickets or season tickets or whatever? As I've harped every single time I get the opportunity to, it's marketing. The Indoor Football League does a piss poor job at marketing their own product. So, of course, no one's going to watch this stuff. So you need to do big, grandiose things like this. You need your local teams and your local communities to get behind each other. You can build that and build a national profile behind that. That's what the Indoor Football League has been doing. I just don't want them to get ahead of their skis where they get an AFL 1.0 and suddenly you've got all these huge expansion fees and then the league files for bankruptcy.
Thank you. Which we'll put a pin in that. Put a pin in that. We'll be back. So Nyqwan, can you hear us again this time? Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Okay, Brian, do you have any questions for Nyqwan?
No, I just wanted to wish him good luck on the upcoming season.
Agreed.
Appreciate you,
Krish,
Brian.
any more questions for Nyqwan?
Yeah, I guess Nyqwan, my one last question for you is obviously you had.
I know Chris got a question.
Always. You achieved such a high level of success in the sport. You won a championship. For you, what motivates you to continue playing indoor football at a high level?
I just want to prove to these people, bro, that I'm still that guy, and I still could play ball no matter what kind of football it is. As long as it's football out there, I'm gonna compete, show up, and do what I do. That's my main reason right now, bro. Just to show these folks like the UFL, the NFL, the CFL, prove to them, prove to myself that I'm who I know I am,
Awesome. CJ Kane says, Noonie, I need 20 of them things minimum. So TJ, do you have any questions for
Nyqwan? CJ,
Oh yeah,
that's
man.
my
Thanks
guy.
for joining us this morning. You know, coming back to Orlando, obviously they have a rich history. Florida as a whole really has always been a hotbed for arena and indoor football, but especially Orlando. How many fans? How hard is that arena going to be rocking? Do you think with the return of football to Orlando?
Oh man, it's gonna go down, bro. Everywhere I go in Orlando, somebody asking me about their Pirates and when is the season start? Oh, you gonna have tickets for me? Or I'm gonna be at the game. I'm gonna have your jersey on. It's just every day I step outside in Orlando, more than 2 or 3 people are coming to me and asking me about those games. So I told Joao, hey, I'm gonna need about 30 tickets, 30 tickets on games for free though. Like I got too many family members. But I
Hey,
think
that's
it's
the
gonna be
bright side
fun in Orlando.
of signing a hometown hero like yourself. That these teams can benefit from your fan base coming to the games,
Yeah.
and getting it loud and making the noise when they need you to and all that stuff. So I wanted to pull up a comment real quick here. Not that one, sorry. This one from Mike Davis. If there's one coach in the league that comments mean a lot coming from them, he says that boy can go, got him into the CFL, and you got caught up with the COVID year. And
Bro,
it
that
kind
was
of ruined everything.
insane, bro. Appreciate you, Mike. But hey, that was insane, man.
But absolutely.
It was in the middle of of the COVID when it first started, so it was pretty tough, man. I had to quarantine for 3 weeks. I missed half of the camp, so it was just tough, bro. I knew I wasn't gonna make the team. Not missing half of the camp.
Yeah, it's pretty impossible to make an impact, or not an impact, but an impression at that point when you're, you can't see the whole the field
And
for the whole time.
the whole thing is, I never had COVID. It was a dude I flew on the plane with from Florida. It was like 5, 6 of us from Florida. All of us had to quarantine for 3 weeks because we was around that dude in the last 72 hours.
Dang, that's
It was
crazy, man.
Crazy situation.
There are so many stories like that, unfortunately, out there that of guys playing high-level indoor football and tearing it up that are not getting the opportunities outdoors, and you're one of them. So I wanted to ask you, I mean, when you look across the Pirates roster and you see all these guys that are going back outdoors, does that give you, hope that your window's not closed? I know I don't want to say an older guy. You're what, 28?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, you still have a couple years before you really have to.
I think I got one more shot. I got one more shot at it, bro. And I'm going to just keep working, leaving in God's hands, keep praying, doing what I do, control what I can control. I can't control what nobody else think of me or what they want to do with me, but I can control what I can control. Just keep playing ball how I've been. And we're going to see. I ain't going to never stop. I ain't going to never give up because I know what I can do and what God put me on this earth to do, to show my talents. I ain't going to let them go to waste. But like I said, I'm going to just control what I control and keep going, man. That's it. That's all I can do.
That's fair. Krish, do you have any more questions for Nyqwan? Cody, do you have any more questions for Nyqwan?
Yeah, I just want to know how awesome it was to play, in the Orange Bowl against Michigan.
Oh yeah, that was sick. That was probably one of my best football games of my life. Like one of the most exciting, I would say.
You got the game-winning touchdown.
Playing in Miami. Yeah, that was that. After the game, it was just so much love, and it was crazy, bro. I wish I was part of this NIL wave. But bro, after that game, oh man, I would have got broke off good. I did a little bit, but I can't speak too much on that. I ain't trying to get nobody in trouble.
I won't say anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure
get
the
nobody in
NCAA
trouble.
doesn't watch this, so I think you're good. TJ, any more questions for Nyqwan?
Nah, man, just best of luck this season, man, and I can't wait till you get that next call outdoors.
I appreciate
Absolutely.
you, TJ. Appreciate
I
you
love
for that,
this.
bro.
Mike, Nyqwan is one of the few that I'll continue to co-sign and pull strings for. Maybe before May 18th. trying to get rid of Orlando's best weapon just before the game. I love it.
Mike. Well,
But,
Mike Davis, that's my guy.
well, Nyqwan, I really appreciate you joining us this morning. Honestly, this is probably way long overdue for having you on. We've all been, Krish and I have been in contact with you for a long time. So, I mean, love the fact that we finally got you on here. I wanted to give you the floor for kind of a second to say anything you want to say to Orlando fans, family members, anything like that before we let you get out of here.
Well, I first want to say thank you guys for having me on the show. It was a good time. Sorry about the connection problems, you guys, but it was nice talking to you all. And to my Orlando Pirates fans, it's gonna be a fun and enjoyable season. Get your tickets ready, get your popcorn, start ordering your jerseys. The season is here. It'll be here before you know it. A couple more weeks, and we'll be in camp. But I'm excited to see you guys in the Kids Center, and I can't wait. Ocho.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time, Nyqwan. We wish you the best of luck in 2026, and we're looking forward to you lighting it up down there in Orlando this season.
Yes, sir. Chris, I'll see you around, my guy.
Awesome. Have a great afternoon, man. Thank you so much for your time.
All right, you too, bro.
All right. Once again, Nyqwan Murray, wide receiver for the Orlando Pirates. If you have not watched him play, I strongly recommend you catch a game that he's involved in. He's one of those guys that not only is a good person off the field, which makes a lot of people fans of him, but he is so good that coaches that have never had him on their roster acknowledge how good he is without having to prompt it. I mean, Mike Davis was doing it in the chat. You saw Ducon say something as well, but I mean, I've talked to multiple different coaches. Tom Manas, if you ask him about one of the best players that ever played for him, Nyquan's name is going to be the first to come up. And I'm sure pretty soon here, Rob Keefe will be saying the same thing. So that's high praise for a player who's done a lot of great things and never really gotten.
Honestly, I would love for Nyqwan. I would love to see the Orlando Storm make that phone call, please. Like that would be amazing. Really, I hope they start off bad and then they call Nyqwan because it'll be really he's a hometown hero. He's right there in Orlando. He's put up all these numbers. Give him a call, man.
Nah, seriously, you're leaning into the regional aspect of things. You have this guy who would be coming from the Orlando Pirates to the Orlando Storm. What better story is there than that for the hometown crowd? I think that would be awesome to see. So let's all cross our fingers for him and shoot.
It's kind of a long travel.
Yeah, absolutely. Literally right across the street or something like that. All right, so let's get back to this IFL Cup discussion for a little bit. I don't want to spend a ton of time on it, but one of the things I wanted to ask you guys about is the logo that they came out with the IFL or for the IFL Cup. I like this. I feel it's simple, it's understated, but it's nice. It's professional looking. So what do you guys think about this logo? Let's go to Cody first on that one.
It's fine. I mean, like I said, I've pretty much said my 2 cents on everything, but it's perfectly fine. It looks like American Dream is sponsoring it if they're going to put the logo at the very, very top. So it looks like they'll get some sponsorship money when it comes to that, which should help out. So overall, it's a pretty nice logo. The badge is nice, and maybe the trophy looks like what it's going to look like if whoever wins it with the not round robin, but the little tournament, I guess, what they're having.
Absolutely. TJ, what are your thoughts on the logo real quick?
Yeah, I mean, it looks really plain, simple. It does the job. I mean, it's not an actual championship, so it shouldn't really be an over-the-top logo. And like Cody mentioned, American Dream's at the top, so hopefully they're getting some kind of kickback, considering you have 4 teams playing that are not going to get any kind of home game kickback. So, but overall, I like it.
Absolutely. So we're going to bring in a special surprise guest, Trey with Off the Wall. Trey, how's it going this morning, man?
It's going good. I figured it'd be easier just to hop in here for a second and talk shop instead of going back and forth like comment section trolls. So,
well, I mean, we always appreciate the engagement, of course, but yeah. I mean, we always love to have you on as well. So
let's fight.
Nope. Shoot, go ahead. Yeah. Let's hear it.
It's been a while since we had a good old fashioned brouhaha. So let's get in the mix. Doug Dimmadome, Mr. Dimmadome,
owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome.
Yeah. Yeah, so I understand what you're saying about like it is about the fans and it is about like building up the local,
right,
fan bases and team cultures and all that. But at the same time, in order to expand, to acquire new fans, there has to be a level of exposure. There has to be a level of like I miss when my team like Brian I think earlier said we haven't had a team since 2015.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever I post stuff on social, all the time I get people saying like, "Oh man, I miss this. I wish this was still around." Oh man, we haven't seen this in 10 years. It's like it's still around. People just don't know it exists. So I think as novelty as the mall is, it is novelty. Let's call it what it is. It increases that exposure and reminds people that the sport exists, and in a way kind of builds off of and feeds off of the nostalgia that people have for the sport. They just don't know it like in what capacity they can watch it.
Right. Can I push back on that though?
Of course, yeah, please.
Yeah, good. Because again, I'm not trying to do this as a gotcha or anything like that. I want a discussion here. But like, if that was the case, then why did that not matter with the Arena Bowl? What happened with the Fargo game with Bismarck trying to go to Fargo and nothing happened between Massachusetts and Sioux Falls? Like, it's not, the exposure is one thing, but actually having ownership that wants to see it. And maybe that's what you're trying to get at here is if you can get potential ownership groups to see this stuff. And I'm on full board with that.
Yeah.
We are all in agreement that we want the game to grow and expand and do everything along those lines. But to have that, you need owners and investors to be able to bring that team to that city. Right now, I don't see it. And I know you commented on my video that it could be down the pike in a couple of years. We don't know, but people have such short attention spans that are they going to even care in a couple of years if they bring a team to New Jersey? Will this even provide anything with that? It's all kind of investors, which I think is what you're trying to get at here with that. It's not necessarily the fans. It's the investors and the potential owners that you're trying to sell the product to, which I agree with. But at the end of the day, it does come down to the fans as well. And fans want to see their teams play in their cities for less travel. So I get what you're saying.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Sorry, I just want to insert in one thing real quick too. Does it have the same effect if we get to the IFL Cup games and there's nobody there? I mean, I'm not saying like I hope to God that's not what happens, but does it have the same effect with potential owners, investors, if they look at the game and hey, nobody's there, nobody in to an investor's eyes is that nobody wants to come? Or, there's potential here. We just haven't invested enough in marketing to get it there.
Yeah, to me, it's not. Trying to figure out the best way to say this. It's not about, trying to get 6,000 people into the mall for that game. I don't think that's what it's about. It's about it basically think of it as like a proof of concept for interested parties down the line. Right. So it's not something where if they don't sell 1,000 tickets, this is a failure. There could be a limited amount of people there, but it still be a success in terms of exposure to potential brands that are coming on board, exposure of the sport, and to kind of build off of what you mentioned about why didn't this work with Fargo? Because it was going from one arena to another. It didn't have that ability to, I'm scrolling through socials. Wait, are they playing in a mall? Scroll back up. What is going on? Like it has that freezing ability to kind of stop someone in their tracks and be like, did I just see what I thought I saw? Right. So it kind of has that. So I get what you're saying with that, but the AFL 3.0, they didn't have a plan. And it worked out pretty well for them exposure wise. So if the IFL has something, anything in place to build off of it, it has potential to be so much better than what that was.
Let me put it this way, and I think we can both kind of agree to it this way. I don't know if you guys watch hockey or the NHL, but it's kind of in the same vein. Everyone wants a team in Quebec. Everyone wants the Quebec Nordiques back in the NHL or the Hartford Whalers or anything like that. But the reason they will never expand there or get a team back in Quebec or anything like that is because they still sell the merch. So if you can go put a team in Salt Lake City like the Utah Mammoth, that's an untapped fan base because people are still buying Nordique stuff. So it's kind of in the same vein. That's the reason why they put teams in Vegas. They put teams in Seattle in the NHL is because if you're going to put a team in Hartford or a team in Quebec, they're still selling the merch. There's still that nostalgia factor there while we're tapping into new fan bases. So it's kind of along that same vein of like, okay, well, why are we going to do what we're doing is because, like Trey mentioned, you're tapping into new fan bases. The question is, though, is that it's kind of different, but not where you can say, hey, I want a team in Columbus, Ohio. I want a team in Denver, Colorado. But unless the ownership is there, you just won't get it. So that's my biggest thing is And like Mike Davis said, there's a plan here, which if there's a plan, I'll sit back and watch. But I'm more focused on, hey, can we get good ownership with the fans being able to come out? So that's where I stand with it. Like I said, I'm not trying to poo-poo it. I just don't like the idea when you take home games away from teams that one just relocated and one's a brand new team. Like, you got to build those fan bases too.
You have a good
absolutely.
point.
I agree with you there.
Do you think maybe that they chose those teams specifically because of their relative uncertainty in the market? Like, I don't want to say uncertainty, but like in terms of the potential support they get, right? Do you take those games away from teams that are new to their markets rather than teams that are established that you know are going to have great support? You know, like perhaps like Tulsa, you know, is there any chance in hell you're going to take a home game away from Tulsa in this scenario? You know, so I think that might have played in the opposite direction of what you're saying, Cody, but
right.
Who knows? I mean, I'm not in that room, but a couple questions comments I wanted to get to and kind of throw them up to the group and see what you guys have to say about these. Ben says, a mall game alone can't be a bust for real, I don't think. People go to the mall with zero intentions, then find them once they're at the mall. I know if I saw a football game at a mall, I'd be going to stop and watch. I'm the same way. However, if I remember correctly, the question was posed to somebody that went to the Arena Bowl in 2024 and actually experienced how they kind of cordoned it off. And it's separate, correct, Trey?
Yeah, and I don't think it's about the foot traffic at the mall. Like, I think everyone's really focusing on that. And that's like an added extra. Like, if you happen to be going shopping and doing your thing, like, and you happen to stumble across it, cool, that's an added bonus. But that's not the intent of playing it in the mall.
So here's a question or a comment from the Omaha Beef. Something tells me they were logged into the wrong account. I will say this. I can question what almost every league does in this industry on some kind of level. However, I will say that out of all the leagues that I am not a part of, the IFL is the one that I have the most confidence that they have done their research and due diligence and have some kind of plan with this move. Hard to argue that, right? And obviously, this is probably Ricky Burt saying that he has firsthand information or experience in the IFL. So most likely, he's the one saying that behind the Beef logo there. But yeah, lots of comments. It was Ricky. He just resent it again and under his profile. So, do they have stands put up in it for the other game? Yes, they did. There were some bleachers set up.
It was like 3 rows of bleachers. I wouldn't even say that.
Yeah, that's fair. So lots of comments about the soul, and then we see ding ding, and then the soul comment, and then ding ding again. So interesting.
Yeah, I think that was in reference to what you mentioned, Sam, about like the newer markets losing home games, which they are losing home games, but let's be honest. You know, we're in the trust tree here. The 6 of us are just talking shop. There's nobody else here. Do we expect sellout crowds in New Mexico this year? No. It's going to take some time. They can get there. So if you're going to do it with a team, that's a good situation. Now, I'm not saying I want New Mexico to have sellouts every year, but I think we can all agree that's not going to happen. So if we're going to do it with a team, that's a good team to do it. And I think Orlando's in a similar situation where they're going to be able to fill out the arena eventually, but this is the year to pull from the home dates if you're going to pick one.
Yeah. And same thing. Yeah. I think, 100%. And actually there was a comment earlier, like who's paying for this? And I would imagine, just based on what I know about the IFL, I would imagine it's a shared cost of some sort for the venue and everything, given that this is like kind of a league venture. And if that's the case, and you're not only, you might be hurting the team by removing 2 home games, but at the same time, you might also be removing that cost for the arena rental, and then in terms making their costs a little bit cheaper in the same time. So, that might be part of the thought process. You know, Orlando in particular, we all know the Kia Center is crazy expensive, so it might actually be cheaper for them to go play in New Jersey, and especially if they're not necessarily pulling in sellout crowds. So there are some other aspects about this that it makes it a very interesting conversation topic. Obviously, we've spent already like 20 minutes on this. So, I mean, I think it's a great move by the league because, like Trey said, it's garnering a lot of attention. And they do obviously have a plan.
If you read the press release, it's the inaugural season. So if this goes off without a hitch, they'll be doing multiple years of it. How long? Who knows? But that's the other thing that like you kind of tap into. Yes, these 4 teams, and they pick these 4 teams for certain reasons. Is it going to be something down the road where new expansion teams join, they get the pick of the litter? Is it going to be something where it's like now, like, I'm not saying it's going to be this way, but like it's like the NFL where like they're requiring you to go overseas? Like, are you required to do this? Are they going to expand it? Is it going to be an 8-team thing where, you know, double elimination or whatever the case? We don't know. The world's our oyster with that. So for me, I'm waiting with bated breath. I have my negativity about it, but don't think for 1 second that I want this thing to fail. That's my key point. Like, I have my concerns and my questions about it, but not for once am I sitting there going like, I don't want this thing to go. They should blow it all up and only play in their home venues. Blah, blah. I have my questions about it. That's all I'm trying to say with it.
Right.
That's fair. That's fair. Couple different things. Overheard seating was a great view looking down over the field. I bet sightlines were pretty awesome. I mean, for the most part, you know, especially if you're right up there on the front. But I heard that back in the bleachers, that could be a little bit of an issue as well. Let's not forget the word mall downgrades what the location really is. This place has a damn water park and a Nickelodeon Studios, if I'm not mistaken. These aren't just soccer mom shopping, which is fair. This is a fair point for sure. It's a tourist destination. It's not necessarily just a mall. Couple things. I'm trying to find the exact comment that I want to pull up. Give me just a sec.
And who goes to a mall anyway these days?
Well, it's ironic you say that because I was at a mall yesterday. But
Family Sam,
yeah. Anybody who has 13-year-old boys and or girls, I assume you're probably at a mall quite frequently.
I'm going today to get my kid a Care Bear. So
there you go. See, if you have kids, you're probably at a mall and
measure the specs of the food court. Let us know.
There you go. My rough understanding is that the mall itself is ready to host a team. So I can definitely see this being a proof of concept setup. But again, this all feels like it's a year-over-year setup. That is very interesting. Also, FanDuel's HQ is in New Jersey. That part I was unaware of. So, and then Mike Davis reiterates it has ownership potential. So we know a couple years back, there was an ownership group that wanted to bring a team to Philadelphia. They then backed out of the AFL late in the process because they saw the writing on the wall. Maybe, just saying, maybe. Just a thought, especially given the fact that Jared Widman, was involved in 2024 AFL. But any other thoughts, topics, anything you guys want to cover on the IFL Cup before we move on to the tons of other information that came out of the IFL this week?
Yeah, I just ask Trey one question, just insightfully.
Go for it.
What kind of demographic of people do you expect to be at a mall on a Monday for an indoor football game? I'm just very curious.
Yeah, like and again, I don't think it's about the foot traffic. I don't think it's about the physical bodies. Like 12 p.m. or was it? Is it 1 p.m. or noon kickoff on that Monday?
Yeah, noon.
Yeah, so like it's like that's a tough time, right? Like especially with it being the week before Memorial Day, like it's not Memorial Day itself. So I don't think the anticipation is that they're going to pack the entire perimeter of every single floor and there's going to be thousands of people overflowing. But I think it's a bigger picture play than that. And I think there will be people there. I know a few folks that we've been chatting with in the group chat, and some of this, some of that might be trying to make their way over there. So there might be a few sickos in attendance front row there. Might have to get Krish his extra medium off the wall T-shirt and make him officially official. Yeah, it's I don't know. There's a lot to be seen about it, but I to limit it to there are only X amount of people physically there to watch it, I think is a little micro when it's a macro play.
This is what you get with Trey, a little bit of business talk in there as well, which I love.
I can throw some jargon out there with the best of them. Okay, don't get me in a jargon off. All right.
Yeah, I trust me. That is a battle I would
hurt my last.
I do think it's cool though. On the 24th, they're having a post-game celebration. It's 21 and up. Mm-hmm. They're doing a post-game IFL celebration. We'll see the third place head coach Mike Davis go down the slide backwards. So
whoa, third place, huh?
Yep.
Firebirds fans will drive down I mean, maybe, but Albany's always been an arena rules town.
So they don't have nets, they don't care.
Yeah, and it's also Jargonoff. Love it. Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see regardless. I think obviously, like everybody said, that the IFL has a plan, and if there's one league that deserves the benefit of the doubt with anything they do, it's the IFL, right? Typically when they try something, it at least, they at least do what they're going to say they're going to do. So, whether or not it ends up a hit, whether or not it ends up a multi-year deal, we'll find out. But it definitely is an interesting wrinkle coming out for sure. And I would like to see, if this is how they kind of explore future markets, maybe it goes to other interesting venues across the country after
I
this.
will say, I think that Sunday, and I think Trey will agree too, that Sunday Cup Championship, that's going to be packed. Like, I feel like that's going to sell out just because it's, Memorial Day the next day. And it's a holiday. I think that's going to be crazy, the amount of people that will be there.
Let's put this into perspective too. It could only work at something like this. Like, you couldn't put this in Phoenix and sit there and be like, oh, it's a 4-team thing, and you have some team that already has home field advantage. The other thing that you can look at the aspect too is it's kind of cool to think that you don't know who you're playing the next week, whether it's for third place or the championship. That's the exciting part of it too. Like, Orlando wins, Arizona wins, whatever, and you're like, oh, we have a week to try and get film and do whatever to try and stop the other team. Like, that's part of the exciting process of this is you don't know who you're playing after you win or lose. So that is something to actually really look at and go, this is actually kind of a cool concept.
Yeah, and in order for things to change, things have to change, right? So you got to applaud the league for trying something like this and throwing it out there and giving it a shot.
Like I said, I don't like the idea personally. That doesn't mean I'm going to sit there and be like, we need to blow it up. I'm going to go watch insert league and stuff. Like, I will look at bated breath because the amount of times that you have been burned by multiple leagues, multiple teams, multiple whatever, you have to approach it with cautious optimism. And that's what I'm trying to do here. Raise the questions. And if it goes off without a hitch, like I said, I will eat crow. I'm not going to shave my head because I'm not Krish, but I will do whatever it takes to be like, yeah, I'm wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. I'm more than happy to be wrong because then I get my cake and I get to eat it too because the IFL does something great. And I'm like, oh, cool, I was wrong. But then the team or the league and teams that I like, I'm like, hey, they're doing something great over here. So,
comment from Adam Snow: first indoor football style game with natural light. No, not technically. So obviously the arena football or the arena bowl a couple years ago was there, and it did start while the sun was still up. It ended while it was down, but
that's not even it either. Spokane and Utah played outdoors. That was natural.
I was gonna say there's been a couple different outdoor games throughout the years.
I would love this to be like a neutral site thing though. Like the IFL could do more neutral site games. Like I would like to see Vegas play a game in the T-Mobile Arena. Something like creative like that. I think that would be.
Now, do you think they ever go to a neutral site championship game where they like a situation where the championship game is in one location every year, never moves? No. So okay. I mean, that was just something that came up. I was like, could they do the IFL championship in Jersey? I mean, it'd kind of be weird given that they're more of a West Coast kind of biased league, but
it depends on who's pulling the strings though. If it's FanDuel and they want it over there, then I'm sure that FanDuel would be like, hey, we're gonna do it over here. So
they should have never done it in Tucson, in my opinion. I think they should have kept it in Vegas. The only issue, I think Shay will agree with this too, is that like the Vegas, when they did the championship, they did it too early in the day. They were doing it at like 1:00 on a Saturday. If they did it at night, I feel like they would have sold out. But
I mean, it'll never happen. But my wishful thinking would be like if you announce the expansion team, that team gets the championship. It's a neutral site, and let's like say Fishers, like Fishers was announced. Your championship game is going to be in Fishers. That's going to drum up support. It's a neutral site, and then hey, here's our expansion team. The championship game is going to be played here. Bring fans out and say, hey, these are two of the best teams. And that's how you go for it. That's my wishful thinking. I don't think it'll ever happen because you still need to get the nets. You still need to get the turf. You still need to get that, which I don't think a new expansion team will have that by the time the champion's there. Could be wrong, but that's my wishful thinking at least.
So you're saying like the year before a team launches, you play the championship in their venue?
Yeah, so like Todd Tryon has gone on record a couple of times saying that he wants expansion teams to have a long runway. He doesn't like teams getting announced a couple of months before the season starts because it's not good. So say, for instance, they announced Fishers, and Fishers had a whole year, maybe year and a half to get all of their stuff ready. And they already had stuff in place, obviously with the Indy Fuel and the ECHL with the marketing department and stuff. So if you sat there and did that and you're like, hey, we're going to put the championship game there, I think it could work. Now they were building an arena and they had to get their own turf because it's different. You know, they got the gray silver turf compared to the natural green. So I get it. But at the same time, I think it would be kind of cool if you announced like, hey, New Jersey's getting an expansion team. Let's do the championship game there. That way it boasts that fan base. So be like, hey, we've got the championship game. Come out and watch the 2 best teams in the league.
That's not a bad idea. I like that idea a lot. And I think there's ways you can make that happen without having to have the new team foot all the bill. You know, I mean, obviously every team has their own, equipment and stuff. So maybe it's a situation where you just move something up for that game or something. But that's not a bad idea. That's a good way to kind of whet the appetite of the market that you season before. So
I think
that's definitely something they should explore.
To make it a little bit easier, I think they either buy a new turf, because again, it was at Tucson. Tucson had green turf. Tucson does not have green turf. They have silver turf as well. So they bring in new turf for the championship games. They paint the logos and everything on it. So you could always do that at whatever venue you're doing. You just got to make sure that you've got the nets and stuff, which I'm sure you could take from a different team. It's a one game. So worst case scenario, if you want to do that. But like I said, that's personally my wishful thinking.
I would like to see the Orlando logo on the field when we play Vegas, because that was supposed to be a home game. So, but that's unrealistic.
Yeah, I think they're gonna go with the, lean into the neutral site aspect, not necessarily put home logos down. But
yeah, hey, man, Hot Topic and Wetzel's Pretzels.
Hey, you know what? You knock eating a pretzel while watching football, man. But literally, my wife gives me crap because I will go to the mall strictly to go to Auntie Anne's and get me a pretzel. I'm just saying they have some amazing pretzels. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. You'll have to tune in when I talk pretzels on another show. Couple moves that came out of the IFL this week that we have not talked about yet. And one of them, very quietly, despite the fact that it was a partnership announcement, was the partnering with Fan Cave for ticket resales. So, I mean, obviously there isn't much to unpack here, but I wanted to kind of throw this around the room and see what you guys thought about this partnership. It kind of caught me off guard, almost like something that I didn't feel the league necessarily needed per se. But let's go to Trey first on this one.
Yeah, I think this is an example of, new types of partnerships that are being introduced. And I think it's with this whole business division that's been created over the past year or so. These are the types of nationwide, bigger partnerships that they mentioned last year, collecting demographic data and learning who our consumer is so that we can acquire these types of partnerships. And I think we're starting to see some of the fruits of that labor come to play. So it has potential for them to grow together, which I think is a really interesting spot for the IFL to put themselves in.
Agreed. Let's go to Cody next.
Yeah, I mean, I'm indifferent about it because it's for resale. So it's like if you put your tickets back up on sale, then you can. I mean, I haven't read enough into it, so pardon the ignorance on there. But if you set your price or whatever you want, most of the time you're still going to have to go through Ticketmaster, StubHub, whatever. And if I looked at it, because I just glanced at it the other day, I don't think all the indoor football league teams are on there. I counted on Ticket Cave's website, only 12 of the 16. I didn't see Arizona. And I don't know who the other teams were, but I counted 12 of the 16. Could be wrong. It might have been a glitch in the matrix where they're still adding the teams to the website or something like that. But we'll see how it goes. I don't really think it's a factor, to be too honest. You're not selling out the arenas. No one's clamoring for those, but yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Apparently we lost TJ. He was next on the question list. So, Brian, what are your thoughts?
Is this supposed to replace Ticketmaster, or is it just a reseller? Because I don't know that much about it.
To my knowledge, it is just for resale.
Resale.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as what IFL is doing with that, I mean, that sounds like a good idea as far as people trying to get some type of money back for tickets that have already been purchased if they can't make the game. I mean, I'm all for it. So I think it's a good thing.
I agree. It's better to try and get those seats filled than to have them sit open. Krish, thoughts?
I think from a community building aspect, this is very positive, honestly. You might have a fan who decide not to go to a game and another fan can kind of swoop in and help them out. So I think it can be a good thing. I think it can kind of bridge the gap a little bit in the resale market. I hope they, have rules though. You don't want people upcharging and putting all these extra, adding extra money on to ticket prices. But I think it's a good thing. Yeah.
That's fair. That's fair for sure. One other big, or I guess it's not really a big topic. It's a signing that stuck out to me in particular for a very specific reason. But Jacksonville has signed Kevin Davis, a running back that went to Miami of Ohio. The reason it sticks out to me is Kevin Davis ran a documented 4.3 at the UFL showcases, was actually one of the fastest players in all of the UFL showcases this past offseason. He did not get an opportunity in the UFL or the NFL. He's a rookie this season, and now he joins Jacksonville. This dude is electric. Watch out for him in the the return game. He can play slot receiver, and he probably will play receiver at the next level if he wants to move up. So he's 5'7", I think 170 pounds, but every time this guy touches the ball, he's a threat to take it to the house. So I strongly recommend, if you are not aware of him, go check out some of his highlights. You're really going to like the player Jacksonville just brought in, and shout out to their scouting department because they do a great job down there. Any other thoughts about IFL transactions this week before we kind of wrap up the IFL segment? All right.
I did have one that stood out to me, actually two that stood out to me. Number one, Josh Jones officially suspended from Tulsa. I thought that was interesting to see. And then another one that stood out to me was Marcius Floyd. So Marcius Floyd, he played in Mass for the Pirates last year, and he was one of, I would say, the most consistent DBs on the team. Right, so he's going over to San Antonio, and now San Antonio has Matt Elam, Terry Beckner, and Marcius Floyd. They got 3 former Pirates on defense. So I think Jonathan Bain has really done a great job building that secondary and building that D line, and they seem to be putting a lot of resources on the defensive side of the football. So it's good to see.
Agreed completely. One comment real quick. These types of partnership from a marketing standpoint also expose the games to people looking in the area for things to do, not necessarily always for reselling. That's not a bad point. I did not look at it that way, but that is not a bad point at all. Mike Davis says, wing tea time, baby. TJ leaves and then comments, Snoop Dogg Envil MVP, 148 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then Adam Snow, pretzel cam. It's coming next week. I will join with the pretzel.
There's one more transaction that we didn't talk about last week that I meant to talk about. Marquise Waters for Vegas officially retired. So he's retired for them. And they signed. They went ahead and signed Trent Tatum. I don't know if you know that name. Trent Tatum played at Georgia Tech, so he'll be coming in with Ian McBurrows. I mean, he's definitely not Marquise Waters, but he's a good linebacker. So he's someone who, he only played in 5 games last year, so he had an opportunity to really break out and take that next step. And that's the model they kind of go with in Vegas. They'll acquire a player who kind of, put up decent numbers, but is ready to take that next step. So it's good. Good move.
Agreed. They're the best at it, if you ask me. I mean, in terms of the IFL, there's no one better at identifying outdoor talent and then getting them back outdoors.
Yeah, I don't know. He consistently seems to find the best D linemen, or like good D linemen and good linebackers. He's nailed in linebackers the past couple of years with Cheesy, Mikel Calhoun. They've had good linebackers ever since they formed. So
you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Trey, any final thoughts before we let you get out of here for the day?
I mean, speaking on Vegas, do you mind if I throw a cheap plug in here?
Absolutely.
Well, this evening, Coach Mike Davis was in the chat here. I'm going to be having a special live stream with Coach Davis talking about the IFL Cup, talking about some stuff with Vegas this upcoming season. So 6 p.m. Eastern this evening, we'll be posting on socials on it, but Shady Sports is the first to hear it. 6 p.m. in about 8 hours or so. So appreciate you guys letting me barge in here and talk shop about IFL. I love talking ball, and any chance I get to do so with other arena ball and indoor football enthusiasts is a treat.
Absolutely. Well, we love to have you. You know, you're always welcome. Please feel free to join whenever you would like.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
Absolutely. Have a great rest of your afternoon, sir. All right.
Certified ball knower.
Absolutely. One of my favorite content creators in the space, as well as everybody else on this panel right now. Huge fan of Cody's content as well. So if you have not already subscribed to Inside in the Alley, I highly recommend you go do that on YouTube right away. He has honestly some of the best IFL breakdowns out, and in my opinion.
No.
Sorry about that, getting yelled at the time. It's fun to see Trey in these confessions. Agreed. So I've pretty much run out of IFL and NAL topics. We already discussed the Bayou Bucks. We already discussed the name reveal.
NAL, George Martinez being added to Omaha staff.
Oh, yeah, go ahead. I'll let you take the reins on that one.
Do you know who George Martinez is?
I know he was previously with Salina, but that honestly don't know much.
He was a legend. Yeah, he coached for Colorado Buffaloes. He's coached at many high schools in Colorado. So I cannot believe Fred Shaw didn't reach out to him to add him on staff. I thought that would be huge for Colorado. They probably wouldn't won a championship with him on staff, but I think this is a huge get for Omaha. You know, he's an older coach. He seems like a really good guy, and he's going to help coach Nyqwan and his operations overall. So I'm excited. And I think this is the perfect time to announce that I will be in the building week 1 for Omaha versus Pueblo. I want to go see the team that follow the rules versus the cheaters of the league. So I'm really excited to see them. And I think Omaha is going to put belt to ass to Pueblo. So I'm excited to watch it in person in the front row while I eat my popcorn.
It's always just so funny to hear you talk about cheating when you're a Pirates fan, but we'll just gloss right over that. Don't even worry about that fact at all, right?
AF1. Move on to AF1.
AF1. Oh.
So really, there's only really one big piece of news. Well, Casanova back in Albany, and then the trade that came out yesterday.
Yes.
Minnesota dropping the ball yet again. They went ahead and then traded Quintavis Workman, former receiver from Corpus Christi, in Washington. I've heard multiple reports on why that went down. There was apparently a disagreement between a member of Quintavis's inner circle and the ownership in Duluth or Minnesota. So this is why that went down. So he decided that it was best to leave, and this is a huge. I'm scared this is a sign of what's to come for Minnesota. You know, you see all these players leaving. You see a star receiver being traded for nothing. They traded him for future considerations, just a roster spot. Like, that's crazy to me. So
sounds like he has a new place to work, man.
Oh man, if I'd known that was coming, I had it already and everything.
Gotta love that future considerations part of it too, you know.
Yeah, it's a interesting. It's always interesting when they trade that. And
Mike Davis was saying it last week that he traded a guy for a bottle of liquor. So I wonder what the future considerations are. Maybe a Starbucks gift card or something for Washington.
Like, I get the trade. So I don't know if you guys caught this, but Orlando traded for a center from Green Bay and then traded it to Arizona, Jake Parks, for a roster spot. This was like a while ago, early in the offseason, but it was on the transaction list too. But the biggest thing for me is, like, I understand, like, in that situation, right? We have Jordan McCray, already have a center, whatever. So that's just a roster spot, if that makes sense, and a favor maybe down the line. But for me, like, trading a really good player for nothing just doesn't really sit well with me. Like, you should get something in return. Like, if I was Washington, I would say I want Akil Greer for Minnesota, Akil Greer for Quintavis Workman. Or I want one of your receivers and one of your defensive linemen and DBs. But the problem is Washington has no good players on defense, so they're not worth trading for. So it's what it is. But
all right. Well, really the only other big piece of news, like you mentioned, is Sam Castronova re-signing, but also it slipped right there underneath the radar. Trey Long is back with Nashville. So excited to see him re-sign with the Nashville Cats. So he had kind of alluded to the fact that he would probably be making a return there at some point when he came on about a month and a half ago. And now that he's finally healthy enough to re-sign a contract, he has returned back to the Nashville Cats. What do you guys make of some of these signings for Washington? They bring in Quintavious Workman. They go out and they sign Latrell Golden, Nnamdi Banks, kind of solidify that offensive line a little bit. What are your thoughts on those moves?
Obviously, you bring in Jake Oliphant back from Beaumont, and Jake Oliphant, in my opinion, is one of the best centers out there right now. In the NAL last year, he was the best center, and now he goes to AF1, and I believe he's a top tier caliber center and offensive lineman. And so you have him, and then another thing is like their offensive line was terrible last year, so they wanted to rebuild. Latrell Golden, he spent time in Colorado. He's a pretty solid guy. You can rely on him. These moves on the offensive line are about replacing Tariq Stewart, right? When Tariq Stewart moved up to CFL, they had a big hole to fill. So they're trying to find a guy to replace him, and it might take time, but I actually think these are good moves. But, it's all about the quarterback position. Vincent Espinoza has never started a game in the arena style of play. So even though he's played with the Black Bears for a little bit, he never actually started a game in the arena style. Giovanni Sanders led all of indoor football and in all 3 leagues in interceptions last year. So it's, those are and then Adam Cruz is the 3rd quarterback. So it's all about the quarterback position. I'm just more worried about I think they're putting so much focus on the offense, they've kind of lost sight of the defense, in my opinion.
We shall see. Mike Davis says some of these trades are to get around our restricted free agency rules. So that makes sense for sure.
Interesting. That liver, I'll tell you that much.
Is it, Coach, if you can clarify, is it 2 for the IFL, 2 per team? I think, yeah.
2 restricted free agents?
I think you can only sign 2.
Gotcha. Interesting comment here that I was not expecting to see this morning. Jim Manure checking in. Hopefully I pronounced that last name right. I apologize, James. So yeah, awesome to see that. He runs Inside the Walls, the media network for the NAL as well. I think he's involved with the Jacksonville Sharks as well.
I did want to ask you guys too, just for as teams kind of, because it came up last week, as teams approach training camp, right? There'll be guys every year that won't show up or refuse to report. What is the best way for teams to kind of have guys ready to fill that roster spot? Is it tryout guys? Is it a database? What do you think the best way for guys to, teams to fill up a roster if they lose guys during the season?
As a team, you have to be prepared for these situations. I think that you take context clues, leading up to anybody signing with your team. How responsive are they, throughout the process? Are they excited, when you talk about the situation, or is it kind of their last resort? Are they a guy who's coming down from an outdoor league? Are they a guy that's coming up from, a developmental league? I think there's a lot of different aspects to that because there's no one clear cut, this is how you do it situation. I think that you have to have conversations with guys long ahead of time before you ever may need them and be like, hey, you're high on my list. If we need anybody to come in, you're going to be the first guy we call, stuff like that. But it's tough because obviously you have to stay in contact with those players, make sure they don't sign anywhere else, stuff like that. So I think there's a lot of different wrinkles, but I think as an indoor football team, in the back of your mind, you always have to think some of these guys are not going to show up at the end of the day. Unfortunately, it's just how it goes. I feel like every team has at least 1 or 2 RTRs every year. So
it also kind of depends on the league that you're in.
True.
Coach Davis has talked about it with the veteran rule in the indoor football league where you can only carry 7 guys on your roster when they're considered veterans. So what do you do for the ones that don't make your roster? You got to ship them somewhere else or tell them, hey, you can't play for us. So for the players not to report, that's where networking is a huge thing. Whether, Coach Davis has been in the CFL or, he's networked his way to get players to other teams in the Indoor Football League veteran rule or not. So it's, pretty much the best ability is availability. So if the players are refusing to report, it's going to sound bad, but there's no shortage of players that think that they can prove their worth. So for that, I think it's a multitude of like, hey, we've got a database, we've got networking, we've got tryouts. I think it's all of it, to be brutally honest, to make sure that you have the best bang for your buck of this guy doesn't want to play for us, this guy gets hurt. Like, you've got to have names coming down the pike, or at least coaches in, networking areas where you're like, hey, so-and-so, is there a way that we can trade for future considerations if we can get this guy because we need to plug, the defensive back spot, or, quarterback went down, we need someone to plug that hole. So I think it's all of it, to be honest. You need that database, you need that networking, you need tryouts, all of it. That's where coaching is so important, and networking is so important in the indoor game.
And see, that's my biggest thing too, Cody. I'm glad that you hit that on the nail. Like, Brian with Louisiana, right? Louisiana went with a condensed roster approach so far in the offseason. They only have 17 guys listed on the website. Do you think that's do you think they actually have 25 guys on the roster, or do you think they're going to keep training camp a little smaller this year?
Well, it's, again, I'm not trying to say it's cheap ownership or anything like that, but you're also depending on, can some guys play that Iron Man role? Can some guys play? Like, we saw it last year in Tucson. Jameis Williams was playing defensive back for a couple of games. He was the running back, so he was playing both sides of the ball. God, who was the guy? He was someone for Duke City a couple seasons ago. He was playing
Greg Dent.
Greg Dent. There you go. Thank you. Good poll. I couldn't remember his name, but yeah, he was playing defensive back and wide receiver. And you're wondering, hey, they don't even have a 21-man roster because you got a couple of guys playing offensive line, defensive line, and wide receiver and defensive back. Like, you don't want that necessarily, but at the same time, CJ Kane from Omaha has pretty much said, if you can get guys that can play multiple positions, why not? Why not let them, and you don't have to pay an extra guy. So if that's what they're going with, fine. If it's not, then get ready to learn Iron Man rules, buddy.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Brian, any thoughts on any of this?
Well, as far as like last year, we didn't have a kicker for the Rougarou. Staff believed in saving a position, and that was, you see how that turned out for us. That was not a wise decision. To back up Cody as far as networking and communicating with other teams, communicating with the players, that's the key focus that has to be done. The good coaches know how to execute that all the time, and the other coaches, struggle with it. Some don't even do it at all, and we experienced that last year.
Agreed. And that is definitely an aspect as well, as, like you said, networking with other teams, coaches, keeping an eye on who they cut.
Local guys too. Like, I use Dallas as an example, right? They lost Dante Santos, and Dante Santos was a quarterback I was really high on. Well, guess what? They're bringing in Gerard Evans, former Virginia Tech and Vegas Nighthawks quarterback, and I know he's a bit out of shape, but still, that's a big move.
Agreed. Agreed. James has a good point. Don't forget, some RTR players that go to other leagues, which then becomes a league suspension based on league rules. That is true. There are situations like that, although I feel like most leagues at this point are just automatically suspending those players once they sign another contract. I like the point that you brought up, Cody, about players that can play multiple positions, mainly because Krish hates it, but also because of the fact that, it's a really good roster building technique. Jameis Williams is a great example. That guy can play running back. He can play defensive back. He could probably split out and play wide receiver if you needed him to as well. He's a weapon. Guys like that are weapons. There's multiple players that you can speak on. In fact, we wrote an article about Hassan Rogers last season.
Yep.
That dude, I'm shocked he's not on a roster right now. And he's a weapon. He played defensive back, running back, quarterback, wide receiver,
kick returner.
Yeah, kick returner. Pretty sure he got water for all the other players as well. He just did a little bit of everything. So it's those guys are clutch. Krish gave a lot of stuff to Jairus Grissom, who was with the Southwest Kansas Storm last year, but that dude played like 7 different positions for them at times. So
I just want to clarify this. I'm not against it, but there's a difference between doing something and then doing something good. You know what I mean? Like, you can play all these positions, but that doesn't mean you're good. You can be below average.
Counterpoint to that, TJ Davis. Backup quarterback, wide receiver, return man, CFL with Winnipeg.
That's why he's in the CFL, though, because he's proven that he's good.
I'm saying that for every anomaly that there is, there's going to be guys that get those opportunities. And to Sam's credit, if you can prove yourself in those positions, regardless if it's kick returner, regardless if it's a wide receiver, if a CFL team takes notice and says, hey, you're good in all of this stuff, but let's, dwindle it down to this thing so you can focus on that one. It's kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. So if we can get you to do this one thing really well, you can excel. And I think that's what, CFL teams, UFL teams are looking at. Can you do all of these positions? Great. Let's find the spot for you on our roster, and then you can focus on that.
Exactly. And like last year, I used an example, one of the games, Dante Luke's one of our offensive linemen, he got hurt. He's with Indy now. And, Michael Mason had to step up and play offensive line, left tackle, for the whole second half of the game. And, sometimes, and it's good because he played offensive line in high school. So he had that experience. There's guys with experience like that too, for sure.
This is one thing that, Mike Davis points this out, but I wanted to kind of touch on this a little bit. So he says, would you rather be great at one position or average at 2? Yeah. So let's talk about that for a second. So TJ Davis, a guy that Cody just brought up, right? TJ Davis was a college.
We can use Antonio Wimbush for Coach Davis if you want.
Yeah, there you go. Good point. But so TJ, to finish my point real quick, TJ Davis, college quarterback, very athletic guy, was basically told coming out of college, you will not be a professional football quarterback.
Yep.
So what does he do? He uses the IFL and that backup quarterback role to get on a roster, be given the opportunity to play another position, specifically wide receiver in his case. And then he goes and plays wide receiver at a high enough level. Eventually, it took 2 years, I think, for him, to the point where he got a look at the CFL level as a wide receiver and a kick returner. So I think that's a huge way that guys can potentially develop a pathway for themselves to the next level.
Right.
Jairus Grissom would be another guy that I would use as an example. Dude's 6'3", 215, perfect size for a wide receiver. He's extremely athletic, but what kind of gets in his way sometimes is he wants to stay as a quarterback. He wants to play those multiple positions, whereas TJ Davis, I think, realized, hey, if I want to get to the next level, I want to play at a high level, I need to focus in on wide receiver. But my ability to play these other positions is what keeps me on the roster year over year to focus on wide receiver.
Right.
So that's just one aspect of that, the whole bigger picture scenario.
All right. And to Coach Davis's credit, would you rather be great at one position or average at 2? Of course, it's going to be great at one position because that's where your bread's going to be buttered. I think when you look at the Jameis Williams situation, injuries kind of forced him to play defensive back for Tucson for those couple of games. And he was doing it really well. I mean, there's a reason why Travis Hunter is Travis Hunter and there's no one else that is Travis Hunter. So, and I know I'm using that on the NFL level, but at the same time, like, there's a reason why people have gone away from the Iron Man rules. Practically everyone is because you're more specialized in high school. You're more specialized in college. You're doing that one position, possibly 2 positions, whether it's, special teams, what have you. So I get exactly where Coach Davis is coming from.
Yeah, he's not wrong. And like he says, TJ better focus in on running the full route tree to make it Winnipeg. Yes, that's accurate. He's still got room for development, but he showed the physical traits and enough on film for them to take that chance, which they never would have taken if he didn't have that film because obviously they never took it the 2 years prior. So I think there's an opportunity for players like that to be able to find their niche and utilize that to get to the next level, even though they technically are a jack of all trades at the IFL level. So, any other points you guys want to make before we get out of here for the day?
No, I think it's all good. I love seeing these players get opportunities to move up. Shaheem, I see Jim in the chat. Shaheem Battle, right? DB moved up. That's the second DB, third DB, set. I think third player this offseason that's moved up. So I think it's really good to see guys get opportunities to move up. And, versatility is good. Versatility is a really good thing if you can, be good and master, like Coach David said about TJ, right? Yeah, he has to get the route tree down, and he has to come into Winnipeg with that mastered already, right? Because those CFL camps, they move so fast. And all the camps at the next level, like they don't really have time for you to sit around and develop slowly. They need you to make improvements fast. So.
No, you make a good point for sure. I think TJ definitely has an opportunity to potentially be a practice squad type guy at the CFL level. And, I know, again, we're talking about him focusing as a wide receiver, but he also does have a value to a CFL team as a potential short yardage runner in that quarterback setup that they do as well.
I'll pose this question to you. You think if Josh Tomas gets the opportunity to move up, would he play receiver or running back at the next level?
Ask Coach Davis.
But, what would he do?
I'm sorry, re-ask that question?
Like for Josh Tomas, if he had the opportunity to move up, right, would he play running back or receiver at the next level?
That's right. He's on Vegas. Ask Coach Davis what he wants.
Yeah, I was going to say running back's probably his best bet. I think that proving he can be a true 3-down running back is probably his best way to get to the next level. But, yeah, obviously Coach is literally saying what I'm trying to explain here. But, yeah, his ability to play running back in 3 downs and then, potentially be motioned out as a wide receiver and stuff like that is what's going to get him to the next level. Plus returner, of course. Yeah. Isn't there concern for injuries to increase our wear and tear with Ironman rules? 100%. We're not advocating for Ironman rules. We're just advocating for having players that can do a lot of things for the team in a scenario where it calls for it.
Yeah.
Not like that they're playing Ironman.
You got to remember, this is Day One's first show, so little bit of slack with that. But like with the Ironman rules, how do you want to put it, or how do I want to put it? Like the games were fine, but it was with arena rules. I can't remember if there was ever Ironman with indoor rules. There might have been, but that was way before my time ever watching this. With that and injuries to that, you were forcing other players to come in out of necessity. And that's the thing I was kind of mentioning with Jameis Williams is like he had to play out of necessity. You don't really want that. And that's where the networking and stuff comes in. You're going to have a huge pool of players, whether from the tryouts who didn't make it or whether, you have a training camp roster in the indoor football league of 40 players and you have to dwindle that down to 25. So it's not just tryout guys, but guys that just didn't make the cut. You're going to work your way through that, through coaches on other teams, other leagues, and say, hey, do you have a guy I could probably sign for a couple weeks or the rest of the season? And so it's kind of the reason why going away from Ironman, I have this huge pool of players that, not just you can pick from, but a lot of teams, can pick from as well. And, some teams get roasted by it, some don't. And, them's the breaks.
Exactly. That's why we play the games, sometimes the healthier team wins and the team that has done the better job of preparing for injuries wins and not always the best talented team on paper. So
it's a war of attrition, man. I mean, injuries are going to happen regardless of Ironman rules or not. I mean, how many years have you seen teams you think they're going to have a good season and just get obliterated by injuries? And you're like, well, plug and play, man, till next year.
Yeah, exactly. Especially in the IFL, this is more of a factor than some other leagues because they do have 17 regular season games, 17, 18 regular season games. So
16, but you were close.
Sorry, 16.
You're good.
16.
You're fine. They play 20 weeks though. So
there you go. 20.
I get what you're saying.
So yeah, regardless, it's a much longer season than the AFL that I think is only playing 12 games this season, and NAL, which I believe is 10. So, and then TAL and the other leagues that have even smaller. But yeah, anyway, I'm pretty much out of stuff to talk about for the day. You guys have any final thoughts that you want to get out right before we split? I know Krish will have like a long form question to ask any moment.
For me personally, go check out the previous episode of In the Alley. I posted one last week. I'm hoping to get one out this week to talk about the IFL Cup since that's all the rage. My 2 cents, which is what you've watched today, and obviously with the new insights from Trey, from Coach Davis and stuff, there's definitely not necessarily opinion changing, but definitely some insights I personally didn't think about. So shameless plug for the channel there.
Absolutely. By all means, please subscribe to In the Alley. Obviously we have him on the show regularly for a reason. Really respect his opinion, his insight, and love his content. So that's why he's here. So,
but I will say this. Sam will say this. I will never say this. No expert, just a guy who likes to watch the game. That's it. No insider information, nothing. Just a guy who likes to watch the game. Simple as that.
That's fair. Ricky, let's be honest though, guys, with the Iron Man concept, the players back then were way different than today.
Yep.
Today's players are so much bigger, faster, stronger, etc., that it make it more and more difficult to excel at one position, let alone two. Like Mike Davis said, it's hard. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. And that is a good point. I think a lot of people forget that back in the day, the AFL style was a lot more prominent at every level of football. And now it's just not. Guys would play both ways in college and the NFL at that point when it was real prominent in the AFL as well. So something I was told by a former coach as a fan at a game I attended way back, Iron Man rules were created in part because of the initial lack of interest for players to come play arena ball. So they needed to maximize the product on the field with smaller rosters. I saw it 2 days ago on In the Alley. Great show. No AIF. There's not really anything to talk about in the AIF except another West Michigan blowout. So, they had a game last night. As per usual, West Michigan rolled over their opponent quick, easy, and in a hurry. There was really not much competition there. The Union did score some touchdowns, so at least it wasn't a shootout.
Todd Simmons played in that game, number one.
I'm sorry, who?
Todd Simmons.
Ah.
Yeah.
I thought he was with Wyoming.
I thought he was with San Antonio.
I guess not.
I'm so confused. So he played for the Pennsylvania team?
Yes, last night he was number one. He didn't really do anything, but yeah, he was out there. He played all 4 quarters. Yeah.
I'm so confused. How does that even work? He's signed to another team in the league. So what did they just allow him to go play in All right. Yeah, that's why we're not talking AIF right now, because there's.
I'm all out of stuff. No, I'm really excited for the IFL Cup. Good to see Coach Davis in person, and it'll be good to connect. And my advice to him is stay on the bus, man, because we're gonna blow New Jersey up. So.
Oh wow.
Hope you're ready.
Isn't there a reason why you guys left the Northeast in the first place?
The snow.
Snow.
There you go. Yeah. It's that winter weather.
They're supposed to get there's a 20% chance of snow in Tampa for the Winter Classic or Stadium Series or whatever for the NHL. So there's potential for snow in Florida.
There you go.
Hey, Alabama got snow recently, so if they can do it, anybody can. But on that note, we're going to go ahead and bid you guys adieu for the day. I apologize for being tardy this morning. Thank you to you guys kicking off the show without me. I really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who watched. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit the like button. If you're watching on any other platform other than YouTube, do us a solid, jump over to the YouTube, hit the subscribe button. We're on a quest for 3,500 subscribers. We just topped 3,150 last night. Would love to hit that 3,500 before we have one of these indoor leagues kick off in March. Obviously not counting the AIF, which kicked off a couple weeks ago. Sorry, it should be more specific. The NAL or IFL kickoff in March. But yeah, definitely jump over, hit the subscribe button. If you have not done so either, check out our merch at brandingblanks.com in the Shady Sports Network section. The AIF has a weird thing where they have players sign that they agreed or at least midseason to play elsewhere. Hey, more power to them. That's one way to get players into the league and allow them to play as many games as possible. And it would make sense why a guy like Todd Simmons would sign a contract if he can have that sort of flexibility. But on that note, we're going to leave you guys with a reminder of one of our great sponsors here of this program.
mountains you climb? Maybe stairs. The records you set? Maybe personal. The fans you inspire? Maybe family. No lights, no camera, just action. You don't have to be a pro. You just need HoneyStinger.
Yo, what's good? Cedric the bus driver here. I don't know about you guys, but I know what I will be doing every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. And Thursday nights too. I'll be over at Shady Sports Network, so catch up with me. Holla at your boy.